Hi folks, it's Michael LeBlanc here from Better Yourself 365 with another one of our daily nurture videos. Today I wanted to talk about burnout, workplace burnout. I'm a counseling therapist and I work with a lot of people who do go through burnout. And I just quickly wanted to go over what burnout is and how to notice what the signs are of burnout. First of all, burnout is not necessarily a sense of stress or overwhelm. Burnout is prolonged stress over time, so typically years of stress that has built up to produce some kind of a physiological state where the tank is empty. So it's not necessarily just high anxiety. It can include high anxiety, but it also includes a state of exhaustion. So there's three components to what you will experience as burnout in your body. One is what they call emotional exhaustion, which also is physical exhaustion and mental exhaustion. The second part is what they call desensitization, which is another word for becoming cynical or disgruntled, or just an inability to stay patient with the workplace. And the third part is a loss of self-efficacy, or a loss of a belief that you can do your job well under the circumstances. So let's break those down a little bit. So exhaustion, it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional. And what does it look like? It looks like a sense of fatigue, obviously, an inability to get your spark that you used to have. It also is physically feeling more tired, not necessarily sleepy, but just not having the zip or the energy that you used to have. And cognitively or mentally, it looks like kind of mental fog, more difficulty remembering things, difficulty staying focused on one thing. So with the people I work out who are experiencing burnout, sometimes what they will experience is an inability to stay consistent and finish a project to the end because they just can't keep their attention on it, or it takes way longer than it ever used to. Or even things like inability to be able to read long passages of a book or an article or whatever. So kind of that loss of the high mental functioning that they're used to. The second part they call desensitization, and this is where you're feeling disgruntled. You're feeling angry with your employer, or frustrated with your colleagues, or you're complaining more than you ever used to, and you're just feeling mad about how things are going. It could be about the system, it could be about your workplace, it could be about your clients, whoever it is. So just kind of cynical. And the third part, loss of a sense of being able to pull your work off and be able to do a good job at it. And that's not everybody experiences that one, but there is generally a sense of I can't do the job the way I used to because there's things in my way. So let's talk about those things in your way. There's six workplace factors that can lead to those signs that I just talked about. So the six factors include, usually the first thing is workload. Overload of work, too much work to be able to get done in the day, or just a sense that I'll never be able to catch up, or every day I leave work there's things left undone. And with the advent of being able to work from home now, it seems that we're always plugged in, and the workload just keeps going and going and going. So workload usually is the thing that's in most people's way. But there's also 5 other things about the workplace. The second one is a sense of a loss or a lack of control. That is, your voice isn't heard, or you don't have a say, or decisions are made without being run through you, and you're just a recipient of these decisions. So you don't have any control on how things are going in your workplace and decisions that are made in your workplace, so you're out of the loop. The third thing is there's a mismatch between how you think things should be run and how things are run, and that's from a deep values place. So it's a mismatch of values, a sense that the things that I believe in are not happening in this workplace because the people who are making decisions have a different set of values than me. The fourth is a sense of fairness, usually with regard to responsibilities in the workplace and how people are treated. And if you feel like there are certain people that are preferred, or there's opportunities that are presented to them and you don't get them, and a sense that people are being given things without a fair playing field, then your sense of fairness, that could really rub on you over time. The fifth one is the sense of enough reward. And sometimes that's a financial thing, and other times it's just being appreciated and acknowledged for the things that you bring and offer the workplace. So reward is the fifth one, and the final one is the sense of community. And that really is about support. It could be from your supervisor, it could be from your colleagues, it could be the cohesiveness of the workplace. And if there's a lot of conflict going on in a workplace, this quickly can bump up to being the number one stress factor. And remember, burnout is prolonged stress over time. So it's not like you've been dealing with something for 3 months, but you've been dealing with this maybe toxic workplace or really conflict-oriented work environment for years on end. Eventually it wears you out and you start to show these personal signs of burnout, which I talked about: emotional exhaustion, desensitization, and a loss of self-efficacy. So those are the 3 personal signs of burnout and the 6 workplace factors of burnout. I'm going to talk about what we can do to get ourselves out of this sense of burnout and into more of a sense of thriving or being happy at work and feeling content and satisfied at work. So remember that burnout is essentially prolonged stress, and it's taken a toll on your body, on your mind, on your spirit, and certainly on your excitement about going to work. So I did write down a few things, and I might just kind of look over here at my notes as I talk. So first things first, you're evaluating whether you are burned out or not, and that it can be a subjective kind of a situation. There's no test that can say 100% you're burned out. Usually we have to take a look at multiple factors to figure out whether you're burned out or not. There is something called the Maslow burnout inventory, which I give to my clients, and it does give a pretty good idea of where they sit when it comes to burnout. But let's say that you feel you are burned out. What do you need to do? First of all, you need to create some space to be able to figure out what it is you're going to do, because we live very busy lives, and a lot of us don't really take the time to be able to make a solid plan of what I'm going to do. So if you decide, yes, I think I'm burned out, I need to do something, I would suggest you take 30 minutes or an hour and get out a couple of pieces of paper and your pen and start jotting down the first things that come to your mind that you know would make you feel better. And I'm not talking about going up to your boss and telling your boss off. I'm talking about what you can do for you immediately to help you feel better. Now, for a lot of people, the first thing that comes to the mind is, I need to take time off. And if you can arrange that and take time off, that's definitely one of the best things you can do. If you feel you have sick days in your bank, or you have the financial situation where you can exit away from work, then exit away from work, and we'll talk about making a plan of how to structure that time away from work to be able to rejuvenate your body. If you can't take full time away from work, consider taking some time off, part-time from work. Either you go half-time or even 3/4 time to just create a bit of wiggle room for you to be able to breathe. If you do take time off, and let's say you get a couple of weeks off, which if it's a real genuine burnout, 2 weeks is not even scratching the surface. For a lot of people, think about how long it took you to get burned out. You're not going to fix that in 2 weeks. So for a lot of people, it's at least a month. And for others, it'll go into 3 months and 4 months. And that's when you really start to be able to get your energy back and get yourself back. However, not everybody's in that situation. So whatever amount of time you can get off, that's the way it is for you. The key is putting together a kind of a plan to make sure that you follow through on the things that you need to do to feel better. So think about this. For a lot of people going through burnout, they're fluctuating between two states of their nervous system. One is a heightened state of fight or flight, and that's like a very anxious, high energy, usually negative energy state of being, fight or flight. You either want to fight with someone, that's the desensitization, angry, upset with how things are going, or there's their flight part, which is like, I can't deal with this anymore, I got to get out of here. That they're fluctuating between that fight or flight state and a drop down in energy, which we call shutdown. It's a withdrawal, it's a numbing out, tuning out. I call it Netflix zone. You're like down in this where you just can't even think about things, and you're letting things slide, and you can't function, and you're not showering, and you're not brushing your teeth, and you're just not able to do it. You can't function. So people are bouncing back and forth between fight or flight, shutdown, fight or flight, shutdown. And what we want to do is move up the nervous system to a state of calm. So how do we get there? First, we need to put a plan together to start regulating our nervous system. People who are in a state of burnout and they're fluctuating between those two states, their nervous system is on fire. And what we need to do is bring them from this shutdown state into some positive energy, and then a positive energy into a state of calm. There's lots of ways to do it. First of all, there's something called the vagus nerve, and it's the longest cranial nerve in your body, and it runs from the back of your brainstem down to your belly button. And it's the pathway that is the calming pathway, and we need to stimulate that to start to calm down. And there's lots of ways to do it. So you can stimulate it. Probably the best way to do it is through deep belly breathing. So diaphragmatic breathing. When you meditate, you do that, but you don't necessarily need to meditate. You just need to get some deep breathing going. Whether that's a count of four with a breath in, then a count of four of a hold, and then a count of four of a breath out, and then a count of four of a hold. We call that box breathing. And there's a whole bunch of videos on YouTube where you could track that down. So getting your breathing regularly, do it 10 or 20 times a day. We're going to get into the habit of deep belly breathing and getting our nervous system calmed down. There's some other ways to do it. If you have some health insurance, you can go and get coverage for a few things that can help you with your nervous system regulation. One of them is called cranial sacral therapy. I do this myself. It's maybe one of the best ways to get your nervous system regulated. Another way is through massage therapy, and a lot of people are aware of that and how that works. And even acupuncture, aromatherapy, there's some other ways to do it. So you've got to get the nervous system regulated. At the same time, we also need to move our body. If you're exhausted, I'm not talking about going for a 10K run. I'm talking about walking. We're going to start by walking. We're going to start by walking 10 or 15 minutes a day. And then if you can handle it, do it twice a day. And if you can handle it, do it 30 minutes at a time. And it gets you both outside and it gets you walking. And it also gets your brain starting to become, what's it called? Anyway, there's this chemical thing that happens in your brain. When you move, you get very creative, and it helps you to problem solve and find your way through whatever situation you're in. It'll help you kind of work your way through it. And it also, if you on purpose, can walk very mindfully and just be present as you're walking and noticing things around you. And by the way, there's no stress in the present when you're walking down the street. The stress is really the future worry and the past that you can't let go. So we're going to try to be as present as we can. So we're going to move. We need to regulate our sleep. There's lots of ways to do that too. Making it a priority is the first thing, and I can't go through all of the steps of how to regulate your sleep. We actually do have a sleep course that I offer, CBTI. It's Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia, and it's on our website, betteryourself365.com. So regulating your sleep is important, and then of course food. Now I talked about the vagus nerve. It's a highway of information that goes both ways. So stress from your brain can go down and impact your belly. People who have IBS oftentimes have a lot of anxiety, and it finds its way down. Kids worry, they get a bellyache. That's what's going on there. But it also goes the other way. If you have poor digestion and you're eating like crap, this actually can impact your mood. So food and mood, they're intricately connected. So if you can have better digestion and better food going in your body, it'll have a positive impact on your mental health. What do you need to do for that? How about you go see a naturopath if you're covered? How about you go see a nutritionist if you're covered? Get some help with this. It's really hard to do it all by yourself. One more thing, no, two more things, three more things. One is journal. Every day, journal. Get your journal out. Start writing down the things that you want, the things that you need, the things that you need to fix, the things that you need to say to people, and then you have it kind of written down and you really get a chance to process it. And maybe you need to seek support. Maybe you need to see a therapist. Maybe you need to see your mother. Maybe you need to go see somebody who you really need to have a conversation with, because you know that when you're with them, you always feel better. So spending time with people who love you, feeling connected to people who are in your circle, that's really important. And if you don't have anybody, then you go and you see a therapist, and that's what you do. The last thing, the last idea, I love talking about this one. I called it project-based therapy. It's coming up and getting your creative mind and your creative juices flowing. And when you're creative, you're calm. You're not in fight or flight, and you're not down and shut down. You're in a state of calm. So when we do creative projects, we get into a really good state. So what kind of projects can you do to bring into your life that make you feel good? And maybe it's something that you started and you never finished. And by the way, finishing things is really good for our health, and it helps us feel good. So start, middle, finish really is good for our mental health too. So what kind of creative things could you start that you know you'll finish? It could be a project in the house. It could be some work of art. It could be a piece of music that you're writing. It could be something you're building, something that's creative and it's project-based and it really keeps you present. That's really what you want to do. Maybe it's a puzzle, who knows. People with burnout have a little bit of hard time with puzzles because it takes so much mental juice to be able to do that. And noticing the patterns can be challenging. So those are some ideas on how to deal with burnout if it does find you. There is help out there for you. Seek help if you're really in a bad state. And I know people feel bad about taking time off work because they're going to leave their colleagues to do more. But the truth is that if you're only 50% at work, then you might as well exit out and then go back in when you're 100%. So that's it for today. Take good care of yourself, everybody.